pray to me. Be real when you pray to me.
Well, welcome to the Effectual Prayer. I'm your host, AC Nelson. I'm excited to be here with these five beautiful women. And so I want to give them the chance to introduce themselves, and then I'll have the ability a little later to express some of my special moments with them. And we're going to start with the lovely Candice.
Hi, my name is Candice Aaron. I guess, should I give a little bit of my background? I am a choreographer, a dance instructor. I don't like to say a motivational speaker. I like to say a life empowerment speaker. I love people. I love to inspire people. I love for God to use me to inspire others to be the best them. I have a heart for young people specifically, and that's who I am.
My name is Juanita Ginyard. What can I say? I love the things of God. I love people. I have a heart for men. I believe the Father is leading me in the direction to start ministry and restoration and deliverance of men. We have a lot of broken men out here. And I believe God has given me the compassion and the passion to minister to them. So, and I'm just glad to be a part of this little community right here.
My name is Jasmine Johnson. I'm the youth pastor for Christian Tabernacle Church of God. I'm also a teacher at Excellence Christian School, director of Loud and Clear youth student ministry and youth ministry at the church. And I'm an evangelist, and I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Veronica Cooper. I'm not a big talker. I don't even know really what to say. My dad, Elder Vernon Cooper, asked me if I would join this talk tonight, and I told him I would. So I'm a mom of one. I have a 23-year-old son. I love to bake. I love to dance. um, that's about all I got for you right now.
That's okay. That's good.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Hobbs. I am a mother of two, and I always say one is 2 and one is 19. I am a wife. I am a lover of the performing arts. I'm a lover of God. I love God's people. I'm so excited about a new journey I'm getting ready to embark upon this year. And first time being an author, as well as moving forward with some other things with nonprofits and things of that sort to touch the nations, right, as much as we can. I have a love for young women within the church community. I want to see healing. I want to see deliverance come forth, and that it is stick and stay. Okay, that's what I'm about. Melanie Hobbs.
All right. I love the fact that she said stick and stay.
Stick and
Amen.
stay. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today I brought these women together because I wanted to talk um, about daddies. And so there is, I think, a narrative that needs to be debunked. And what I mean by that is a lot of people feel as if women could just do it on their own. A lot of our moms, they do it on their own. They do what they have to do. But I want to encourage the men today that feel like they're unnecessary and let them know that they are truly necessary. So I wanted to first of all learn from these lovely ladies how dad played a role in their lives. And so I want to start with Juanita. Can you just tell how dad played a role in your life?
I grew up. It started off. My mom had raised me, my brother and I, but my mom had her personal issues that she had to deal with, so my grandparents had to step in. And my father, he would show up every now and again, maybe come and get my brother and I for the weekend. I can go back as far as being 3 years old that I can actually remember him actually being a part. But from that point on to 5, after that, I had no real connection with my father. I just knew him by Sam. I didn't know his whole name. So he wasn't a really big part of my life. and which was hard because there were certain things that took place in my life that I wish on many a nights that he was there. Um, the first boyfriend, because I didn't have no clue about how to deal with boys. Um, Even as I gotten older, as a young woman, I found myself searching. Used to hear people say she deal with older men because she's looking for that father figure. Well, that was true in my case.
So we're gonna go with Jasmine. Can you tell me how dad was in your life?
With my dad, he was actually I grew up. He was there. He was always there. He did not. My mom and my dad, they ended up separating. And honestly, I couldn't imagine not having him there because I always knew I could talk to him. I always, um, that need for feeling secure. I got that from my dad because regardless of whatever I knew, whatever I did, whatever I said, he might get upset, but I could always come back to my dad. So yeah, my dad, he was always there. He played a great role in my life, and I'm glad he was there.
All right, Mel, how about you?
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, ladies. I let's see, with my dad, it was kind of like a off and on kind of situation with me with my dad. So my mom and dad, they were married. Um, when I was younger, I believe they separated when I was like 4 years old. However, both of my parents were ministers in the church. My dad was a musician as well as a bishop. My mom was a evangelist missionary within the church denomination that I'm a part of, and so it was a very interesting situation, right? So with dad, I would see dad like at all of my celebrations, right? I would call my daddy because I'm a daddy's girl. Okay. So I'd be like, Daddy, I'm graduating. This is my sixth grade graduation. Daddy would show up. It was my sweet 16 birthday. I'll never forget. Daddy bought me a television. Yay! He was like superhero. And my mom was like, well, I'm the one raising you. Okay. I'm a single parent. What about me? All the stuff I'm doing. But I was like, it's my dad. Like it was a big thing. However, it was still a void in my life because dad wasn't there through the little stuff that was really going on in my life. In school, similar to my sister here talking about it was like a hole in my heart because I didn't know what real love was from a man because my dad wasn't there all the time, always present. People always thought that he was. The only time that I really saw my father was during the time that I would go to his church because he was a musician. So I knew I would catch my daddy on a Sunday morning, okay, playing somewhere. So I would go and see daddy, then sit on the organ with him and just love on him. Also, again, at any function that I had, he was there at my undergrad. He was there at my grad graduation. And of course, I just always loved on my dad no matter what, because again, he was my daddy. And my mother never talked down about my father. And pretty much I just learned to, and I was just sharing that with someone else, I want to say yesterday or what have you, that I truly learned how to cover my father through it all. I don't know if it was like a church kind of thing, because I can get into that too, but I totally covered my father regardless to if he was there or not. Which sometimes that kind of hurts a little bit, to be honest with you, ladies, that I had to cover him in that way. I never wanted people to look down on my father at all. Like, y'all can't do that. Okay. Even though behind closed doors, I was really broken and I was really hurting about daddy not really being there. He was there for my younger siblings, but the older three of us, he wasn't always there for us. So that was a little rough too. So yeah, so that was my little daddy story. My daddy is thebomb.com. And just to state too, even last year, God took my father during the Corona virus time. And it was just a whole different, whew, just thinking about that, because my sister came to my home and she was like, oh, it's the holiday and daddy, he'll be doing this and daddy will be doing that. Because again, these are my younger siblings. And then I started thinking about, I'm like, wow, I never spent a holiday with my father. I started thinking like I never knew like what my daddy really liked to do within his home, just chilling and watching television. Those were not moments that I was able to share with him. But again, he was a great guy to me because he was my father. Yeah.
Amen. Vernita, will you be able to share your dad's role in your life?
Actually, I am definitely a daddy's girl. My father and I are very close. And he and my mother married actually when they were teenagers. So they had me and my brother very young. So they separated probably when I was maybe about 4 or 5, probably. But my dad was always there. I could call him. I spent more time with his family than I did with my mom's side of the family. Every weekend, I was gone. My mother never had to worry about a babysitter. I was gone to my daddy's grandma's house somewhere. So I didn't really have a whole lot of issues growing up. I think where the issue may have come up when I was maybe about 14, when he remarried my younger sibling's mother. He kind of, I don't know whether she just had a hold on to him or whatever, and he just kind of drifted away some. He's strayed away from his own family, not just us, but he. So my brother was angry, very angry at that. But for the most part, my daddy is, that's my boo. I love my daddy. He he's just been there, just always, no matter what. Like I said, we are definitely very. The older I get, it's like we've gotten a lot closer. I'm his firstborn, so, and it is what it was. I don't really have anything negative, I guess, to say about my dad. I love my daddy.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for sharing. And certainly, last but not least, Candice, can you share?
Okay, yes, I was muted. Sorry. Man, first and foremost, thank you. This is the first that I've been public talking about my father's situation. It's not really a situation. So I got a little bit of butterflies, just a little bit, but it's a good thing. It's time. I'm very fortunate to I have a father and I also have a bonus dad. So to speak on my dad, Mel, I can kind of, our stories have some similarities where my dad was very much so around, but he wasn't there. So it's kind of, it's hard to explain because he was there, he was present. My parents were together. They were off and on up until I was in the 6th grade, so like 12 years old, which that caused a whole nother spilled over into my adulthood relationships, that off and on thing. We were in the house, not in the house, separated, not separated. But even with them being together, I never really saw my father when we were in house. I might have saw him in the morning and then at night, and that was really it. He came home at night and he was there in the morning when we're all getting dressed, but he left out before we left out because he had to be at work. A lot of that was because he worked a whole lot. He worked multiple jobs, and I'm fortunate he was there financially, but his presence in terms of like certain things, he wasn't there. The small things, he wasn't there. He was there for birthday parties, some of them, most of them. If I pressed him out with my dance recitals and things, he came. And then it got to a point where he was like, I don't invite me anymore. And being a teenager and you hear that, it's like, what do you mean don't invite? He's like, Candice, you always have something. It's always something. And it's just really interesting. My parents, they both remarried. My dad remarried twice, and my mom remarried to my bonus dad, and he entered our lives when I was in high school. He came in and he's like completely opposite to my father. So whatever I wasn't getting from my biological dad, where I saw him every other weekend, yeah. My bonus dad was in the house. He was very much so like, where are you trying to go? He would advocate for me, like, I want to go to this party. I want to hang out with this person. And my mom would kind of be like, And he was like, let her go, let her go, let her have fun, let her, let her enjoy her life. My bonus dad is the chef. That's his love language, food. So, he would cook and it was like, sit down, try this, eat this. I learned about basketball because of him. Now I love basketball. I was a stat girl in high school because of him. Lakers fan through and through. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. But so with my bonus dad, but my father, my biological father, we moved to California. And I finished high school in California. And it was a little heart-wrenching. My brother played football, very good athlete, I'm proud of him. But my dad would fly out for his football games. But my dance shows where I was dancing with, stars, pretty famous people, things that had some substance to it, that's amazing. And he wouldn't fly out. So my heart would be like, oh my gosh. But I really, truly had the opportunity to have a second chance with my biological father when I moved back here from California and I moved in with him. And we learned each other, the good, the bad, the nasty, the all of the above. So I'm grateful for that opportunity because a lot of where he didn't show up when I was a child, he made up for it, and it's getting better. It started off really, it was not okay. It was not okay at all. I had to move out, and we both realized that was not, we work better in separate households. But the fact that I'm on the East Coast and now I'm, older, we have a better relationship. So, yeah.
Amen. So anybody can take this question. I'm going to give a little bit of my story, but the question is, why do you feel that fathers are important? I'll share a little bit. I, like Candice, did get the opportunity, was blessed with a bonus dad, but I do have my dad, and I believe now in my older years, I am growing to appreciate my dad. And I think as you become older, you get the opportunity to kind of see from the older person perspective. Like as a child, sometimes you just think, daddy don't love me, daddy hate me, daddy this, daddy that. But some of the things that I realized as I've gotten older is that my dad did certain things out of love, the way he knew how to love, as opposed to just not loving. It was the way that he knew how to love. And so I'm grateful that I did have, we called him stepdad, but I called him daddy. I had Daddy James. He was my dad. I mean, and when he passed away, it felt like my real dad died. But I realized even then that I do have my own father and I still needed him. Even though I was grown, I'm like, dude, I still need you. And so for me, fathers are important because I felt like I didn't know who I was. Like, and what I mean by that is a lot of people on my mom's side, I got along with them, but it wasn't until I learned about my dad's side that I realized, yo, they have some of the same quirks as I do. Like, man, they make up songs like that. They do jingles like that. My goodness, this it felt like a missing link for me. Like when I got to know my dad's side of the family and then took the time to really listen to my dad, I'm like, yo, I didn't even know these things about you. And some of the quirks that I have, my dad actually has. So I just want to know why you guys think fathers are important.
Well,
Well, I think my dad is important to me because, again, for advice, like relationship or whatever, I can say, hey, and we have had some very, very, very candid conversations about men and things. And it's just good to hear it from his point as a man. Okay, dad, my fiance did XYZ. How would you do this like my fiance now he's just like, okay, he getting on my nerves and this is what he's doing. What do I need to do? Because he actually counseled us
Mm.
and I had issues with things and I'm just like I would try to get my fiance to be like, okay, just be honest with me. And he let him know that actually from the beginning, I know my daughter, she's a daddy's girl, and this is what you're going to get. So just be honest. So any relationship stuff, I'm going to my dad, Daddy, can what should I do or whatever. So he's been really good with that.
Thank you for sharing, Juanita.
I the importance that I realized the role my father could have played was to really help me to see from a man's perspective about the role of a man. And although I survived my teenage and I survived my young adult, it wasn't until I reached my 30s when I actually had a real relationship with my father. And even that, God was dealing with me because, again, I didn't like him. I thought my father is very, very handsome man, and so I was, like I think I was in love with the fact that he was handsome. I'm like, my father looked good. Oh my God. But I didn't like him as a person. I thought if he could have just given me half of his time, I think a lot of decisions I made as a teenager, I know without a doubt I probably wouldn't have made them had I had a man that I can really talk to. Like I said, it wasn't until I got in my 30s when he would come around or my aunt will say something to me about my father, and I was like, yeah, okay, all right, that was good because I wouldn't even give him that much. They would mention my father's name and I'll stop them in their tracks. I don't have time for that. I don't want to hear anything you have to say about him. But again, I'm in my 50s now, and when I really realized how much my father was into me, when he actually broke down and cried and apologized to me for not being in my life. And then the light bulb went off in my head. Juanita, your father was 15 when he had you. He was a kid. My mother was a kid. No, my father was 16 and my mom was 15. She had my brother at 14, so she had me at 15. So, and it hit me like boom. He didn't even know how to be. He was a child. He was 15, 16. They don't know anything at that age. So I didn't realize, it really hit me that, okay, he didn't know how to be a father. He didn't know what it's like to raise two kids. He didn't know about a job. He was working a part-time job, if he had a job at that age, back in the 60s. I don't know what they were doing. So, it wasn't until I was in my 30s, 40s when I started really getting it. But it was something my father said to me. I'm going into my second year of marriage. Yay. And before I had dated my husband, I was dating this other gentleman. And my father asked me, he was like, well, how so-and-so is doing? I'm like, he's okay. He said, well, at this point, my father and I had established a relationship. Let me just say that I've learned to forgive, and I began to open up my heart to my father because he was really making an effort. So at this point, when he asked about the guy that I was dealing with before I had met my husband, 5 years had was already in with this particular guy, and my father said to me, "Juanita, he's not going to marry you." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? He ain't gonna marry me?" Yes, he is. He said, "Here, listen to what I'm saying. You've been with this man for 5 years. If he haven't proposed to you by now, he's not." He said, "I like him. I'm not saying anything to hurt you, but he's not going to marry you." So, I'm being who I am. I'm like, I'm going to talk to this guy because my father don't know what he's talking about. He just got in my life for real. So now he's trying to tell me, I went all there. So I went to the guy and I said, I talked to my dad, and my dad was like, and the guy knew about my relationship with my father. So when I went to him, talking to him about what my father said, he said, "Oh, you have a relationship with your dad now?" I'm like, yeah, I do. Anyway, so he said, I told him what my father said, and he was like, "Wow, you're gonna listen to your dad? He really wasn't there." I said, "You're right, he wasn't there, but I don't think he's gonna steer me wrong now." And I said, "After all, we have been together for 5 years, and I've asked you quite a few times where this relationship is going." And he gave me his response. Of course, it blew me away because I wasn't expecting him to say, "Oh, what we have is good. We can just stay like this." I'm like, the devil is a lie. At the same time, God is really dealing with me about being in a relationship with him. You know what I'm saying? We out there being all extra with ourselves. And God was dealing with me on that. And so I was really starting to feel convicted the more I would hang out with this guy. So anyway, to make that story short, I listened to my father and I broke it off. I broke it off with him, and I was devastated, but I did what I believed that he was giving me good advice for. And that was the very first time he has ever, ever given me some sound wisdom.
All right now.
And I took it, and I thank him. I do. I've thanked him for just because it actually I wasn't even expecting it. He just asked me how the guy was doing, and he began to talk to me with some, like a father. And I will always appreciate him just for that, because again, I didn't have no one else that I can talk to concerning the issues that I was feeling on the inside, far as I'm concerning a man. And he just showed up when he did, and I thank God for that.
Amen. Does anybody else want to take that question? Why fathers are important?
I do. I'd like to. And let me know if I break up at all. I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible because I know it's for the people on here. But it's 3 reasons that came to mind why, and just thinking about my dad. First of all, I would not be the person I am in a positive way without my dad in my life, because he's affected so much of what I've done, the decisions I've made. He showed me what a father is. And so I knew what standards to have for a father. He showed me what a man is supposed to be. And it goes back to what, my other sisters have been saying. So I had an example to look at. And I was able to say, hold on, if this dude is doing this, like, no, that's not good enough. He showed me what standards to look for in a man. Even to this day, like my husband, I thank God that I had my father in my life, because it helped me to recognize the qualities in the man who is my husband today. And that's a part of why he's my husband, because what he did and what he showed looked like who my father was. And so, you know, if a father's in a person's life, I think it really does affect, it just affects so much. And then the second part of that is what a man is, but he also showed me what's in myself. I think about, you know, in the Bible, when we learn about God, we also are learning about ourselves in a way, because we're made in his image. We see his character and his response to us. And so it's all connected. And so when I see my father, and I'm looking at what I'm capable of doing. I'm looking at what I'm capable of accomplishing, you know, and that's kind of like, that's who I come from, you know, that's in me. And so it's a strength, you know. I'm able to say I don't need, I have a father. I have a man, you know. Before I had any man, I had a man already, if that makes sense. And so it really does affect so much. And I'm so grateful to God that he allowed me to grow up with my father. Nobody is perfect, of course. But man, a father in the life of a child, period, is just, it's just so important. So.
I agree with everything I said. And I'm going to add too, being in the child welfare department, that's where I work with the young people. And just to see some of the children that I see every day, and the fact that they don't have fathers in their lives, especially some of our females, as well as our males. I think the importance is so important to have a father in the lives, even when I talk about being a single mom too, with my 19-year-old, I developed a village of people, and I started to build figure fathers for my daughter. So they were my friends, and they were some of my family members that were men that I knew that would contribute into her life. And so they would show up at basketball games for cheer. They would show up for like some of her other events, because I knew how valuable it would be for her in her life, because I knew what I experienced. And like I said, just seeing it in child welfare as well. Fathers are important because they're the first presence of a man in your life. Like, Jesus be, like, you're that example. And I'm so grateful that is that way. And then just thinking about how you also talked about like the different talks about life and things of such that you get from your father. Like, daddy don't tell you the real. Like, dads don't, like, mama kind of like be like, oh baby. No, daddy gonna be like, straight up, this is the real.
No cut cards, right?
Because he ain't for you. Okay. Like, he gonna give you 100% real talk. And just thinking about my dad too, before he even left, he told me, and I was so excited. I was like, yay, now I'm working with the state. Whoa. Like, I was on 10 about that. And so daddy was like, okay, that's cute. He was like, but what's next? Like, now it's time for you to dream again. Like, what's next? And I'm like, are you serious? I'm telling you, this is what I went to school for. Like, I was really on it. And daddy like, nah, dream again, go back in prayer, figure it out. And I'm like, oh, wow. So that was really important to me. And just dads are important that way. Like, we can't cut them out. They're so wonderful. They're wonderful humans that God created for us to lead us and to guide us. That okay, I'm not trying to teach in all because I start getting biblical, but that's really Adam. Like, he was there. You know what I'm saying? God put him there for a reason, to lead, right? And so that's where that come from. So that's why, yep, daddies are important. We need y'all. We love y'all so much. Okay, I'm gone. I'm sorry.
Don't leave. Okay. You said you're gone. Don't go nowhere. All right, Candice, did you have anything before I move on to the next question?
Dads are definitely important in so many ways. To piggyback off of, that's the first male figure that you see. when you are making decisions in your life, when you're choosing who you want to date, down to your friendships, to how you're responding to people, your natural response. I mean, I've experienced it on a positive and on a negative. You know, some of my father's negative traits, and I saw how he responded, or the habits that he had with, you know, I was around when he was a single man. I was living in his house. So he's a single man, and his daughter that's, I was like 19, 21, that age bracket. So I'm seeing this trait. So for me, it was like, oh, so that's how they move? Okay. Well, I'm gonna start moving that same way too. And that became the nickname that behind me was a not necessarily where I was out here just free, but I was out here moving like a male. And they would say, you act more like a male than you do a female. I know. So I had to allow God to work on me in that area, because it ain't gonna work. I'm a female. I am not a male. So I can't behave that way. So, but I'm just saying that and the negative, those negative traits, but then the positive side of now the relationship that we have, where I value his opinion. He's remarried. He's focused. I see how he is with his wife. I love his wife. I love the marriage that they have, and the man that she pulls out of him, and the woman that he pulls out of her. And I didn't have that opportunity to see him and my mom do that. And I only saw it from one side, but now to see him do this again, and I'm like, okay. And it changes my viewpoint of, I'm a single woman. Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough to see how he is. And I'm like, okay, so it is possible for this mindset to change, and to be able to have that raw, like you said, conversation where I mean, he's so, sometimes I have to say, wait, hold on, wait. That's too much. I need you to like dial it back just a little bit for me, please. Cause that was a little, he's like, nah, I need you to know that it's this, even down to business choices and, you know, opportunities and things, how to handle that. I'm calling my daddy. You know, dad, they put this contract in front of me and da 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 da. Versus years ago, I wouldn't have done that with him. He was a totally different person. I was a totally different person. I wouldn't have been able to receive from him, and he would have poured into me a different kind of way, because he missed out from the childhood years. So he talked to me as if I was the little girl and not a young adult. So I wanted to be clear that it doesn't matter where you are in life. It's important for your dad to be there. If you are 50, 60, if you are 2, if you are 10, if you are 150, it's important for your dad to be in those different stages of your life.
Don't worry, the conversation continues. On our next episode, how do you feel your relationship with your father affects your identity?
What I later learned that I got from my dad is the fact that I'm not a pushover.
That's what you're saying. You're speaking to a man right now, and you're saying you are necessary.